Chair, it's difficult being last. But being last after all the handsome guys and the pretty ladies, I mean, you know, it's a hard act to follow. Let's get the statistics out of it first. Could I just see a show of hands, those of you who came here today in a motor vehicle? And, okay, thank you. Could I now see a show of hands for those of you who came here in a motor vehicle and have a driver's license? It's an interesting question. It obviously has to do with compliance. But the one statistic that I thought I would give you is, a couple of weeks ago, we worked out in our company about where did our growth come from last year. And the interesting statistic is this. We met 65% of our clients in jail. Now, I'm talking about South African jails. And the nature of the person who goes to jail is always the managing director or chairman of the company. I think as we go through the presentation, you'll understand why that happens. I know most of you watch television, you listen to radio shows, so you'll know that the Department of Labour is very, very serious in its approach towards compliance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So I think, given that I've given you that one statistic, for those of you who have remained, I hope you find the rest of the presentation interesting. Why health and safety issues important at events? We have to ask ourselves some questions. What is our understanding of health and safety? What would be our understanding of risk? And do we, as eventing people, as meetings professionals, do we actually understand what is meant by the event experience? Now, I'm not going to read word for word all the stuff up on the screen, but what I've done there is I've put some words down for risk. And risk has different interpretive meanings depending upon what activity you are engaged in. But generally, risk is associated with and measured in economic loss, or the probability of that loss. Or it could be harm or damage or loss of life or injury. So in the events context, risk can be measured against the possibility of financial reward or loss, or liability and exposure. This is the interesting part. It's our liability and our exposure to possible financial loss, measured in both monetary terms and human injury or loss of life due to our exposure to hazards. So, recognizing that some occurrence can occur is part of the process of managing risk. It is really not on to imagine that, well, that can't happen to me. No, it's never happened before, so why will it happen tomorrow? Compliance with legislation and regulations and all those items is really what I think impacts us in the eventing world, in the meetings world, and those are some of the issues that we need to take cognizance of. Unsafe processes and procedures, lack of adequate research of projects. In the risk analyses that we do, where people lose their money in our business, often, I would say the far larger majority, is a lack of proper research to begin with. In other words, we never properly measured the risk that we were taking in putting on that particular event. That actually happened in Beijing. So again, what we're dealing with here is somebody not properly measuring the risk. So what is the purpose of health and safety? It's generally accepted as international best practice amongst everyone in our profession to show a duty of care to our employees and to visitors to our meeting or to our event. Most countries have health and safety legislation. I came back last week from spending a few days in Qatar. I was amazed to find that the depth of the legislation in that country, it almost matches our own. And they're nowhere near our experience in years in terms of doing what happens in the world of events. what health and safety is all about. It's about not trying to walk through glass doors, okay? It's very important that we show this duty of care. In the South African context, we have to go back and see what is the intention of Occupational Health and Safety Act. And especially the intention in as far as it impacts on us, is to provide for the health